Welcome to the Hurdle Podcast. We're getting a little quick one out for you guys. This will be coming out right when the games start, but we got to talk about championships Sunday. Got to talk about it because we've got two great games lined up, specifically the first one, which I'm very excited for. But yeah, we'll just hop right into it. Bengals Chiefs in Arrowhead, 1 o'clock kickoff. Chiefs favored by 7 in this matchup. You know, it's one of those things where these teams are both coming in super hot. They came into the playoffs really hot, and they've continued that momentum. Bengals getting the upset over the Titans last week, and KC just staying on their roll with that thriller last week against Buffalo. You just sit here, and it's like I don't see a way outside of the Bengals secondary playing stellar today, which could happen, a way the Bengals can win this, because if they have to get in a shootout with Kansas City, we saw how shootouts went with Kansas City. They're not favorable to the team that isn't Kansas City, for being honest. Buffalo met that fate. Other teams in their division have met that fate all year. So as much as I want to take the Bengals, I've been riding with Joe Shiesty all year. I think I got to take Kansas City. You take the veteran group. You take the more explosive offense. I'll take the Chiefs by 3. I think it'll be very close, though.
I do, too. I mean, the last matchup they had was just like a month ago. So
yeah, and then Zach Taylor was gutsy down there on the goal line right at the end of the game.
Absolutely. So I mean, and you see what the Bengals had to do offensively to keep pace, because the Chiefs went up, I believe it was like 28-7 at one point in night, 2014, going into half in that game, and then they completely shut down the Chiefs offense in the second half, only gave up 3 points. But Burrow had to have 450 and 4 with no turnovers.
And Jamar Chase had 266
and 3. So, I mean, you see the kind of firepower you need just to hang with Kansas City.
And Mahomes didn't have that great of a game when they met a little while ago, 250 and 2.
Yeah, Darren Williams was rolling that game, especially in the red zone, which really pissed me off for my fantasy team at the time. But the Chiefs are too overpowered here, I think. I'm going with the Chiefs too. I like them by the line of 7, like 31-24, kind of around the same score as last time. I think it's going to be a little more defensive because you're in Kansas City. It's going to be a little colder, even though it's in the middle of the day. But the Chiefs just match up better in every way. They're better in the front 7. But Burrow is Burrow. He'll play great in the big games. I'm not doubting that. The Bengals surprised me last week by being the Titans because they showed that they can play multi-level styles of football, being able to defend the run, showing they can shoot out with the best of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals win here, but it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Travis Kelce, and it's that front 7 that's going to get it done in this game. Chiefs by 7.
Yeah, I think both of us inside are rooting for Cincy. We love Cincy. I love Cincy, at least for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's just an unfavorable matchup. It really just is. I think if this was maybe Buffalo instead, I think you could maybe make the case for the Bengals. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this offense of Kansas City is now, after we were talking so much crap on them to start the year, are now getting on that roll. And it's a scary thing to watch. So let's jump to the afternoon game. San Francisco, the 6th seed, is going against the Rams for the 3rd time this year. And the Niners are 2-0. And the last one in LA went to overtime, and the Niners capped it off with a pick to end the game. This, I think, will be a fun matchup. I think if you're more into defensive battles, this might be more your speed compared to the early game. But at the same time, both these teams do put up points when they have to, if they get in the shootout mode like they did in their last game. Interesting to note, Trent Williams is questionable. That could be a big factor for the Niners if he doesn't play today. Yeah. But I think all signs are going to be pointing to him playing. Yep. I think I've been crapping on the Niners this whole playoff run. I'm going to keep not picking them because I might have said 2 weeks in a row, I don't see how the Niners can win this game. This one, I think I really do mean it. Granted, they've gotten the last 2, but
last 8 against McVay, I think.
8 against McVay.
Yeah, they're 8. Shanahan's 8-0 against McVay.
I just think the Rams are finally hitting their stride, kind of like Kansas City. Stafford played great last week in a game that he had to go down and get the game-winning score, and he did. Cooper Kupp is that guy. Odell is playing very well of late. As long as they don't give the ball to Cam Akers as much in this game, like we both have said, I think Sony Michel should be starting in this game, but we don't know
I
yet.
haven't said that.
We talked about it.
We did talk about it.
We talked about you cannot.
I'm rocking Cam Akers personally.
Okay.
I just like Chris Collinsworth was talking about it in the broadcasting of the Tampa game. Cam Akers is the next level above Sony Michel. You traded for Sony Michel to back up Cam Akers. That was the whole idea. And he's only a sophomore.
Coming off the
ACL injury. He's only a sophomore. And the sky's the limit for him. I think this offense steps up because he looked explosive. He just has to keep the ball in his hands. And Tampa has the best front seven in the league.
Yeah, Devin White is the best at stripping the ball.
Yeah, exactly. White, Vea, JPP, that's like their like specialties is forcing fumbles. So San Fran's a total different ball game. I think Cam Akers actually is kind of due for a big game here.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like Michel's a better running back. I just think after him fumbling 3 times last week, 3 or 4.
Two lost. I think he had 3 fumbles.
So I mean, you ride with him early, but if he starts putting the ball on the ground again,
I think you go to Michel.
You have to pull him because that's what they didn't do last week. That almost cost them the game last week. Was he kept fumbling, yet they didn't put Sony Michel in. But yeah, for this game, I'm going to take the Rams. I think it's the obvious pick, but I don't see how San Fran can beat this team for a third time.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it in this big of a stage in LA. Literally, the Rams are trying to keep every Niners fan out of this game. So it's going to be interesting to see the ratio of fans. But if San Fran can win this game, Jimmy G is going to somehow get his A on the project again by doing nothing. He'll be in another Super Bowl by doing nothing. So I just like the Rams more. I think it's more interesting because like we've talked about for a long time, the KC Rams matchup on Monday night a few years ago, how explosive that was. And that was when the Rams had Jared Goff at quarterback.
Yeah.
And now they have Matt Stafford. Mm-hmm. So we could be in store for a really fun Super Bowl if it is Chiefs Rams. But I think either way, I like the Rams in this one.
Yeah. I'm torn here because
we keep picking against them.
Yeah, we keep picking against them. Like San Francisco is LA's kryptonite for whatever reason. Like Shanahan just schemes against McVay better than any coach in the league. I think you could argue because he gets him twice a year, and now you get him for the 3rd time. LA came close. It's in LA again, and they're shutting down all visitors outside the LA area. So it's literally going to be strictly Rams fans, basically.
Unless you're a weird Niners fan in LA.
Unless you are a Niners fan trying to survive in LA, which is definitely possible. But Debo matches up better than any receiver against these guys because when you line him up in the backfield, he's electric. Same thing with Eli Mitchell, just in the backfield, also electric. But I just have such a hard time picking Garoppolo over Stafford. I have such a hard time picking this front 7 against any other front 7 in the league, except for maybe Tampa. And Cooper Kupp has been the best receiver this year, and it's not even close. So with that being said, I'm taking the Rams by 3. There's a streak can only last for so long. And I know Shanahan's got McVay 8 times, but this is the big game. McVay's been here before, so has Shanahan, but I just trust McVay's scheme more with Stafford to actually make the correct decisions in a big game. He showed me against Tampa, especially in that first half. If LA plays how they did in the first half against Tampa, they're going to win by 30. If they play how they played in the second half against Tampa, they're going to lose by probably 14. So
they're that weird, like in between, like you don't know what Rams you're going to get, but it's just, me. Yeah, that's the only concerning thing.
Yeah, that's what worries me because Tampa was a tale of 2 halves. They came out and waxed Tampa that entire first half. Donald was insane. They were exposing that Josh Wells on the offensive line constantly with Donald and Miller. There was not a huge weak spot on this Niners offensive line. They're very well rounded. If Williams doesn't play, then there is. Because you're losing the best tackle in the league, hands down.
Statistically, the best player this year.
Yeah, and statistically the best player this year. So according to PFF, but I'm going Rams. I just like McVay's scheme. He's going to drop. Raheem Morris has been drawing up great game plans these last few weeks, i.e. Arizona, i.e. the first half of Tampa. They just got to keep the turnovers low, keep the ball in their hands, stick with the run. That was huge in those games against, even though Akers fumbled twice, lost 2 fumbles, sticking with the run, especially in that Arizona game.
I was gonna say that Arizona game is really where they elevated that run game because the Cardinals had no stop for it.
Yeah, exactly. And that in those first 15 plays, I think they had 11 rushes and 4 passes. Because Cam Akers and Michelle, they're a great 1-2 tandem. I think we always want to compare them separately because you always think about top level talent for the Rams. They're a great dynamic duo for this roster that can work well together because Cam Akers is a great receiving back too. And if you want to work him out the backfield a little bit more, I think that would also be to their benefit. Just give a Stafford a safety valve here and there. But I wouldn't be surprised if flipping San Fran wins. So
they do it all the time.
They do it every game.
I just don't want, this is my only, I don't want San Francisco KC again because we had that 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I just don't want that again. So if it's anything but that, I will be fine with whatever the Super Bowl is, I guess.
Yeah,
but
me too. I mean, and we talk about Rams KC potential Super Bowl. It's not going to live up to the expectations of 55-52.
No.
It's not going to do that. This KC team is completely different from the KC team 2 years ago. This KC team checks down in the flats. They hit the slants that turn into 65
run the ball
plays.
more.
They're running the ball more with Darrell Williams and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They are a much more well-rounded team than they were 2 years ago, which is to me the really scary thing because they're making the right decisions and not turning the ball over. Seems like Mahomes hasn't thrown a pick in like
he hasn't thrown one in the
week
yeah, I was gonna say he hasn't thrown one in quite a while.
It seems like he hasn't thrown one in a generation. So
I think actually last one he had was that Steelers game when Watt tipped it.
Yeah, when Watt tipped it. Yeah,
but like still up to that point.
Yeah. Like he's had like 1 pick in the last like 10 games, it seems like. So I would be fine with anything but the Niners in the Super Bowl. Just like you. I don't want to, except for maybe Niners Bengals, because that was a great game the first time that went around. But
it'd be fun to see the new matchup in Rams Bengals, if I'm being honest, because we've seen Niners Bengals, we've seen Niners Chiefs before, we've seen the Rams and the Niners. I mean, well, we're getting that. I mean, Rams Chiefs. Yeah, sorry, but I don't. Yeah, I'll go Rams by 10. I think they can open the door early. And like Bailey said, I don't think if it's Chiefs Rams, it lives up to the hype of that game 2 years ago, just because of how balanced now KC is and more of a pro style of an offense, you could say. Yeah. But the same thing goes with the Rams, because you look at that team, it was Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and Robert Woods. Mm-hmm. Now you've got Cooper Kupp, Odell, you've got Higbee, you've got the 2-headed monster in the backfield, and the defense has just gotten better. So it would be really fun to see that matchup again. I think personally, that'd be a Super Bowl that would have me tuned in for the entire game.
I think you made a really great point there. And the Rams have to get out ahead early. Like, I know it's a huge advantage to defer and get the ball coming out of half. If you're LA, maybe make a statement here. Take the if you win the coin toss, take the ball first and go down and score, because you have to make the Niners not play their game, which is running the ball 35, 40, 45 times in a game,
killing that
and
clock.
Just kill and clock the whole game. So your offense can't even touch the field. That's what they did against Rodgers. They handled special teams. They got manhandled, or Green Bay got manhandled in special teams, and they kept Rodgers off the field. If you can keep their best player off the field, you're going to win the game.
Their best 2 players.
Yeah, their best 2 players. Yeah, exactly. So, maybe if you win the coin toss, receive, jump out on them early, get up 7-0, 10-0, 14-0, and really make Shanahan and Jimmy G have to throw the ball, because Jimmy G hasn't been able to do that here in these past 3 games, because he's been absolutely miserable.
And especially in the clutch.
Yeah.
Like in that Dallas game, they're up and they start trying to throw the ball. He throws a bad pick, and then Dallas gets right back into it.
Exactly. Same thing with Green Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Threw a pick in like the red zone or something like that.
Like right before the half.
Yeah, right before half. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's just one of those things where if the Niners can't control the clock and run the ball, they have a shot. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the Rams' last 2 games, That Arizona game jumped on them early.
Mhm.
Tampa definitely jumped on them early.
27-3.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, it could be whoever gets this coin toss and just drives down and scores could win the game, like momentum wise, because momentum is such a big deal in today's NFL. Like we've seen it for this whole year. It's whoever gets the momentum usually just runs away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and even both these games, like if Cincy goes out and gets up early on KC, they got to ride that momentum because we saw what happened to the Bills.
Yep.
So these teams just need momentum. Whoever gets the momentum to start these games, I think can win them easily for sure.
Yep, definitely. All right. That's going to do it.
Kickoff's just starting.
Kickoff's just hit. So we're going to go down and watch these games.
Yes. Ooh, Joe Shiesty.
Have fun. Fantastic weekend of football coming up. And then in 2 weeks, we got the Big Daddy. We got the Super Bowl.
Granddaddy.
So thanks for watching. Instagram at Hurl Podcast, HRDL Podcast. Want just the audio version, go head over to Spotify, type in Hurl Sports in the search bar. Go on our podcast, number 1, mine and Logan's name is on it. Think that's really all we have for announcements. NFL draft stuff coming out. Pro Bowl rosters. We're doing our NBA All-Star ballot. We got a bunch of stuff to record, so stay tuned. We actually might have like 5 or 6 episodes coming out this week.
Yeah, for sure.
On a football off week. So stay tuned. Yeah, stay tuned. We love y'all. Thank you for the support. Have a good one. Logan, Bailey, we're out. Peace.
Peace, guys.